Okay. So, let's see. What you been working on? Anything?
I hadn't got to do much this week.
What did you do? Anything? I mean, did you practice any strums or rolls or anything?
I've got to get started.
Let's see. What? And so last week, what you were going to start work on was just doing the right those rolls with the any strings. It just doesn't matter. But and then well, you were gonna. So you already know this one, right? Just that straight roll. But what we talked about was doing the going forward and then backwards.
Yeah, that's right.
So you didn't work on that. All right, so we'll just pick up from there. So normally when you're doing those rolls, we're doing that. Right, we're just going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Which ones do we go with?
Right now I'm doing 3, 2, and 1.
2 and 1.
Starting on 3. Right, so you've been doing good with that for a while. What we're starting to do now is go 1, 2, 3. I'm talking about fingers here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3. So you go up and then back down.
Good. Yep, good.
Almost. So you go 1, 2, 3, 1. And then start back from here. Okay, then backwards. So when you go backwards, you end up back where you started on this guy. So you go. There you go, just like that.
I forgot to come back.
Back to this one. So then we're just gonna, again, you can use any 3 strings, but I'll just go with these 3 for it's easier for me. And just practicing on that. Right.
Well, I keep going to that one. I just cannot go in a line like you do. Oh.
You can just practice that with your fingers. If you don't even have to have a dobro, just doing the 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3. 3, 2, 1, 3. So you have to kind of train your brain to go, because you're going forward, then you all of a sudden you go backwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to kind of train your brain to make that little jump. So 1, 2, 3, 1, and then 3, 2, 1, 3. That's just a finger movement. You can practice that without an instrument. And then you get if you use different strings, you just get a different sound. But mainly what we're trying to get is this roll pattern in the fingers without having to sit and think about it too hard. So now last week we talked about, hopefully you didn't forget this, about the chord numbering versus the fret numbering, right? Do you remember any of that conversation?
I remember some.
So we've been talking up, we said, okay, open, and then 5, which is fret 5, and 7, which was fret 7. So when you're talking about frets, you have what we call open, and it's just open, no bar. When we were talking about chords, we start with number 1. So, and you have one. So in this case, we'll say G, which is the open Dobro, and we have that is number 1. It's the first chord in our song progression, and then we just use the musical alphabet going G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So if G is 1, A would be 2, right? B is 3, C is 4, D would be 5, E 6, F 7, G 8.
I have to remember that.
So
Get it in my mind, because I've learned the 5 fret, the 7 fret, and the A and the E minor and all that.
Right.
But I've got to get it in my mind about the numbers.
Well, so when we're talking about frets, right, we have open, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way up. We start with essentially 0, which is the open. When we're talking about chords, we start with 1, and you just count the musical alphabet, which goes from A to G. And so wherever you're starting, someone says, oh, we're in the key of C. So you just count from C. C is 1, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And you can just say, okay, what's chord number 4? A, B, or C, D, E, F. So you can just count it up. So the big difference is, if you're talking about fretboards, whether it's a guitar, dobro, banjo, it doesn't matter. We start with open, essentially 0. No bar, nothing. It's just open. And count the frets up from there. So this is open. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then on up. With chords, if we were going to say, okay, key G, that's 1, right?
Chords.
When we talk chords, it's 1. When we talk about fretboard, it's open. So that's really the only difference. Make sense?
I hope. I just can't get it in my brain, the difference in it.
This pollen's been killing me. Okay, so why don't you try this strum pattern, the roll pattern on the 5th fret, which is actually a C chord. So if you count up from G, the open G, count up to, there's A, D,
C would be A.
2 more is B, and 1 more would be C.
So C would be 5, like 5 fret.
Right.
Okay.
So on the C chord, try to do this. It's the roll you already are comfortable with, but instead of going all the way across just leave this first string open, so you get this little very nice sounding chord. So move your bar back just a little bit. Let the first string be open. There you go.
That's what I got to learn, how to do that, which strings to hold my bar on.
Well, normally with a straight C chord, you use all of them, right? This chord, you leave this one open, so you're on the C.
You leave that one open.
With this note. And you strum.
You don't get that one, right?
No, go ahead and hit it, but just leave it. No, don't put your bar on it.
Is that? I'm not doing it.
Pull your bar back a little bit.
Like that.
Can you hear your D string here? Okay, so still got your bar just barely touching it. There you go. Pull it back a little bit. There you go. That's it.
Sound right to you?
That sounds good. Now, so you can use that open string here with the C chord and on fret 7 for the D chord on songs like Amazing Grace. Instead of using the full, you get that real sharp sounding note right there. It really softens the sound for a more pretty guitar part, dobro part, when you leave this open.
So you don't put your bar on that one.
So if you listen to the difference between this that note kind of stands out a lot. If I do it with the open string and not putting my bar here on the C chord, it sounds softer. It's to me it's a more pretty kind of chord. There's the straight C chord. And here's the other chord. So it's just a softer sound that fits well with those kind of songs. So if you're playing a hard driving, song that's really just got a lot of energy, then you probably want to put that just to it's really it's personal choice, but I wanted to show you. So if you're playing around with Amazing Grace, just try doing it that way a few times. See if you like the sound better. Amazing Grace. I can't even sing today. How sweet the sound that saved a wretch like So that's on the D chord versus the straight D chord. Right, it's a little, I don't want to say harsh because it's not harsh, but it's not as soft as just leaving that string open. that chord is actually a C, or yeah, C2. Just if anybody asks you. And how do I know that? Because that note, that open string is a D, right? And the chord that I'm playing is a C. What's the second note after C? C, D. 2. C, 1, D, 2. So that would be a C2 chord. And so here's just a straight C chord.
You have all your bar on there for the...
Yeah, that's what you've been doing, just like that. Right. And then if you want to make a little prettier sound, just leave that string open. And you can hear the difference in terms of if you're doing a roll like a... versus the open string here, the C2 chord. You hear how much different that sounds? That's a straight chord. So it's same basic chord, but just a little bit embellished, a little kind of different sound that you can use. And any chord, any song that you're playing that uses the G, C, and D like that, right? You can put that in there and make a little different sound. Now the same thing applies to that D chord with the next string down. So when you play the D chord, instead of going all the way across, you can just play.
Like the third.
Well, you're on the 7th fret, right? And instead of going all the way across the bar, you just do strings 6, 5, 4, and 3 with the bar. And leave the second and first strings open.
Those two.
Yeah. There you go.
This sound better.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Thank you.
So, when you're just playing around, doing different, chords, rolls or whatever, trying to practice a little bit, you can do these things like instead of this, you can do this with the C chord, and then this with the D chord, so you get just a different sound versus if I play the straight full chord, it sounds completely different. So even though it's basically the same chord, you kind of embellish it, make it sound a little bit different, so that you get. Just by leaving those two strings for the D open, and that string for the C.
This one is like you have the 2. left out for that.
So on the C chord, which is your 5th fret, you just want this one open. Right? You want the bar on all the other strings. And just strum that with that. Yeah, there you go. And just strum back and forth. And so what you're doing here, you're going to have to move the bar. When you go to the D chord, you got to move your bar back a little bit. And when you go back to C chord, you have to move it up a little to get this string again. So your bar's going from here to here, right? The tip going from 2nd string to 3rd string, and then going back to C, you got to go back to where you were on that fret. There you go. And you can just strum, practice strumming that a little bit, Dave.
Okay, leave the 1 right there.
There you go.
I'll have to practice that a lot.
Now, you remember the Eagles song called the 7 Bridges Road?
I'm not sure.
Were you an Eagles fan back in the 70s? There are stars in the southern sky, southward as you go. Remember that song?
I'm not sure.
I'm sure you do. It's just my bad singing.
I remember some of their songs, but I don't know.
Let's see if I can find it. You'll remember it because those 3 chords, G, D, and C, are that's the whole song. YouTube. Oops. You'll remember this as soon as you hear it.
Yeah.
Not right off. I just
No, that was a
that.
really big hit for them back in 70 something. Anyhow, so if you change on your D chord, or start on your D chord, C chord, G, back to D. That's the whole song. There are stars in the southern sky, southward as you go. Yeah, so you just learned a new song.
Yeah.
Even though you don't know it. So try to, practice this week for strumming just just 2 open strings here for the D chord and 1 open string on that C chord. We're just going 7 and 5.
Okay.
Yeah, D and C. That's all we're doing.
Let's see. Something just right down there when I come back. Yours is softer than mine.
Good.
Getting a little bit.
If you get real ambitious, you can try to just do some rolls in there along with the strum. So I'm just going, it doesn't matter if you can go forward or backwards. Well, it's practice, and so just the strumming, and then try to throw some kind of roll in there. It doesn't matter what it is, just. Yeah, again, there's no shortcuts for practicing, and okay, so let's move on a little bit. Just remember, when you get time this week, just practice strumming that. if you get comfortable and get ambitious, try throwing a little roll in there.
Do I need to put my finger up there more?
No, you want that string to ring on this particular, right, this string, you want that to ring. So normally if we're playing stuff, if you're playing whatever, you want that finger up here to kind of mute this string so it doesn't make a bunch of noise you don't want. So I don't want all those extra notes in there when I'm doing stuff like that, so that's why your finger kind of overhangs a little bit. But what we're doing now, you want that noise, those notes. Because I want that string just to ring out.
Does that look like it to you?
No, that's good. I mean, just throw that roll in wherever.
Oh, okay. Maybe I should rest it down a little bit more than what I'm doing. Seems like when I'm down here, it sounds funny. I mean, it's not soft like when you do it.
What do you mean?
Like, let's see. See, when I'm coming back up, it sounds funny, don't it? It's got a ringing.
Well, you hear your pick hitting the string, right? You're talking about that little, like that noise?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, the way you can never get rid of all of that, because just simply touching the string with a piece of metal, you're gonna get
a little bit.
You're gonna get a little bit, but when you'll hear it the most is when you're being very timid on the strings. If I play the strings and I'm just kind of playing, I can't even do it. Playing real soft like you're doing,
Yeah.
then you'll hear it. So when you play with this hand, you got to command the strings. You got to put some force into it. And you're always going to hear a little bit, but yeah, it doesn't take a whole lot, but you gotta command the strings. You gotta put out some effort and some force. If you just try to softly play them, you'll hear all that noise. Right?
I guess I think I'm supposed to do it soft.
No, don't do it soft. I mean, that's the worst thing to do. You just play it with, Now, there are times you want to play a little bit softer if it's a soft song. You don't want to be going, on a nice, pretty, slow song, right? You want to go. But I'm still hitting that string with my finger hard enough to control it and command it, right? So I don't want to get all that noise. And again, it's not completely avoidable. You're going to get a little bit. But the more forcefully you kind of take those strings and pluck them with some authority, then really the better it's going to sound. Just put it out there. So if you do that right now, if you just bar somewhere, anywhere, 6th fret, right, and take these 3 strings, 2, 3, 4. Right, so you want middle finger on string 2.
Middle finger on string 2, okay.
Index finger on string 3, and your thumb on string 4. So you just pluck those all at the same time, and then you come straight up with your hand.
I'm having a hard time with that middle finger. I can do these 2 end ones, but the middle one...
You know, that's my weak finger too.
Yeah.
I notice a lot of times that when I'm doing rolls, my middle finger, the string on my middle finger is not as loud as the other 2. But anyhow, what I'm trying to show you is that if I do this, see if I can do it soft enough. I can't even do it anymore. Once you learn to not do that, it's hard to not do that. To do that, right?
You just got to learn.
Maybe it'll work better with open strings. There we go. So if I'm going to open string, I'm going to pluck these 3 strings, and then I want to come back down and put my fingers there to play them again. Right? If I do it real soft, you hear all that noise? If I do it, with authority though, you still hear a little bit. But you're still getting it. But the more you can command the string, the less of that kind of stuff you'll have. And here, I get hardly any because resonant there. You hear that little overtone? That's just the guitar ringing with some harmonic. I don't know if you hear that real high sound that kind of hangs on after. That's the guitar doing that. There just happens to be a harmonic note on this fret on this guitar. It might not be on yours. So you won't hear it here. I do hear it.
Oh yeah.
That's just some note that really resonates on this particular guitar as a result of these 3 notes interacting. So there it goes away. Yeah, so we haven't talked about this before, harmonics, but the natural harmonics on a dobro and a guitar are at the 7, the 12, and somewhat at the 5th fret. So you get, this is what we call harmonics. It's sort of like a really high-pitched overtone. You hear it on recordings, but...
Oh.
And
Isn't that something?
But stringed instruments, typically guitars and dobros and things, have a natural harmonic that is very easy to get on the 7th and 12th fret, and not so much, but a little bit at the 6th. So on 7, 12, where is it? So you doing stuff like this on the natural harmonic frets, you're going to get you'll get some of that, but it's not a bad thing. It's just the physics of sound, you know. So anyhow, this is something you can practice. It doesn't matter what fret you're on. Just go, go to fret 7 for now to a D chord, and try to do that with these 3 strings and get all 3 of them pretty much the same volume. You know, the same force that you're hitting. Yeah.
Come down one, down.
Well, so you want to pluck them and come up, and then immediately come back down and stop them from ringing, like that.
Ooh. Nope.
It's something you can work on just, a little bit at a time, because that gets pretty boring just sitting there going. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, even if you're doing like. That's just boring. So, but it's a good technique to learn, because you need to do that, and sometimes.
Learn how to do with the string. Control the string.
Yeah. So that when you get comfortable with that, you're just hitting the note and then stopping it. So you can just practice that. Well, you can do 2 or 3. I mean, just, ultimately you want to be able to do all 3, but you could start with 2, and then these 2. But ultimately, you want to have all 3 of these. And then, that's kind of a bridge to doing the more fancy stuff that, let's see, this whole Western swing thing that does. That's not it. So there's a lot of that in that little thing. Just hitting the strings. Right. That's part of the panhandle rag. That's all that technique is all in there. That little slide. There it is again. It's it. And that's all just that little technique. So if I'll just play it and you can hear. Just that. So work on that, add that to your practice things, list of things to practice. And I mean, you don't have to do them all the time. Just, pick one or two or three of them.
Okay.
Work on it for a few minutes.
Really neat. I like that.
Yeah, that's a very useful technique to be able to control multiple strings at the same time with that kind of staccato. Instead of, I hear a lot of dobro players that will do something like that, but to me it sounds terrible because they'll do that. It sounds okay, but I mean that compared to the that just sounds so much better, and that's all just that one technique. And same thing here. The second half of that song, the B part is. Same technique, but I'm just using two strings. So practice that. Put it in your repertoire of practices.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure you probably haven't done this for a while, so let's just review this little one-string thing.
Oh.
Yeah. So remember, what we're doing is open string here, open G string, second fret, then open B string, first fret, open D string, get the open string, and then the second fret D string, come up to the 4th fret, same string, 4th fret, and then open G string.
I got the first part of it, but the last part, I was trying real hard to get it, but I couldn't.
So the second half was the open D string, D, 4th string, and then second fret, same string, now the second fret, come up to the 4th fret, and then the open 3rd string. So you got
third, you said start with the 3rd?
4th.
I've got to remember this.
Remember they're backwards from what you
Yes.
what you think.
Oh, I cannot get that in my head. 1, 2, 3.
No, that was right. Now go up to the 4th fret.
Is that the same string?
Yeah, same string.
Oh, okay, same one.
One more fret up. There you go. And then 3rd string.
Okay.
That's fa, sol, la, ti, do. Oh, so, la, ti.
No, I'm doing
One more fret. You're missing one fret.
I did miss it. Let's see. No,
One.
no.
to the 4th fret. Come up to 4th fret.
Okay. Let's see.
That's the 3rd fret. You need to go 4th. There you go.
Okay. 2nd, 4th, and then open. No.
And, no, that's right. Open, 2nd, 4th, open.
I'm not doing it. Let's see.
There you go.
Yes. Remember. Go to the 4. Like you said, I've got to control my strings.
Hey, don't be afraid to hit them strings. I mean,
I know
you
it.
got to use some authority on those things. You can't just be timid. And
Yeah.
so go ahead and bear down on them. So that little piece, the whole thing here is it's just the G major scale. You know, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So that was the second half of it.
And that I'm doing right now, that I just finished, is the last part, right?
Right. So you already, well, you had this part.
I had that part.
Right. So that's the whole thing. Go ahead and try it. Try the whole thing. First fret.
Now go
Now the open.
the open.
Second fret.
Is that?
Well, you don't have the bar on this third, 4th string.
Let's see. That one, right?
Yeah. There you go.
Yes.
That's the whole thing. So I can't tell you how many times I did that when I was learning. And there you
I
go.
think I got it.
Yeah.
So
So,
keep doing it.
and then if you get ambitious, you can go backwards. You can just go reverse. It's exactly the same, but you're going backwards.
I have a hard time going backwards.
Well, once you get it down, forward, without having to really think much about it, then you'll be able to go backwards much easier. So, that's just. So you got it up to that point, and then you just need to add the. And that that little part, that second half of it, actually, this is the kickoff for a lot of songs. So that one that you had asked me about a while back, and I told you that's a really advanced song, Fireball. That's the kickoff for it. That's the kickoff for that song.
Okay.
So go ahead and try that again. Do the whole thing. See if you can put it together.
The do.
That little thing that we were just working on.
Okay.
But do the whole thing. Start with the open 6th string. That. Open 4th string. Right. Then 2nd fret. 4th fret. There you go. So you got it. Just need to work out the kinks and get it, you know. So, you know, we're going up the strings in order. We're going 6, 5, 4, 3. And you can actually keep going, doing the same thing pretty much. And we ran out of strings, but we can just go up one more fret and get the same note. So on these 3 strings, we've talked, I believe, about this before, are the same as these 3 strings, except they're higher pitch. They're 1 octave higher. So that basically anything you do on these 3, you can do pretty much the same thing on these 3. Where it breaks is if you try to go, you know, from the 4 up to the 3 and translate it onto these higher 3 strings, because you run out of strings, right? But basically, if you're just using these bottom 3 strings, I can do exactly the same thing on the top 3 strings. So if you get comfortable with, you can just keep going. It's the same exact pattern until the very last note. You can't go to the next string because there isn't one.
Yes.
But you can go to that note right here.
You can put it on the high notes or the low notes.
Right. And we do that a lot, really, in bluegrass kind of music and a lot of kind of music. But we'll do something down kind of a low